How are you planning to keep up with the changing landscape? I keep thinking, in the old days, you could have a 30-year career at one company. Now, you've changed a couple of times in a couple of years. The landscape is always changing. How are you preparing Cooperatize for the future?
I think having a very standard set of protocols around how we manage a process. I think having certain specifications around how you write a sponsored post, what are the disclosures, what kind of things you have to include to make sure it's Google safe. I think we're just sticking to our bread and potatoes, which is really just writing good content. That's really what it comes down to, and that's been the case for the last 20 or 30 years since the internet or journalism has been around. And just focusing on high quality writing, I think that will always beat out any kind of newfangled technology that comes into the marketplace.
What do you mean by Google safe?
Great question. So back in the early days of sponsored content, I mean this is as early, that's late as I guess as 2009, 2010, companies with the biggest budgets could just pay bloggers, website owners, publishers to write content for them and insert links that go back to that brand's website. So what happened is all these companies that have the big budgets were influencing search engine optimization rankings. And so their results would rise straight to the top. So in a very kind of extreme world, you could see that all the companies with the most budgets basically will go to the top of Google. And so Matt Cutts came down and said, in order to facilitate fair rankings in Google, you have to tag links that are paid for by a brand as no follow. And what that means is Google will not index that specific link to impact SEOs, thereby eliminating the effect that rich advertisers have on the ranking of their website within Google.
So if I'm an average blog and I would like to improve my Google rank, what is your advice?
Well, the number one piece of advice is always to have good content that is engaging, useful to a specific audience. That's always been the number one way to raise your rankings, and it still applies to our company as well. Other major factors are, of course, making sure that you properly tag your posts correctly, putting the right titles, the right focus keywords, making sure that the posts are at least 500 words long. And there are many different factors that impact how well your blog does, but having the overarching goal of just writing relevant content for a specific audience, that will always beat out any kind of specific tip or trick that you can do to improve your ranking on Google.
Well, now I'm curious because you mentioned that posts need to have around 500 or more words. But what if you're essentially posting videos? How does that impact Google rank? Is there any advice you could give on that?
Sure. I think from what I know, obviously many people now have Google Plus profiles. And so when you publish a video through your Google Plus profile and the video starts getting a lot of views and maybe becomes viral, that video is obviously associated with your Google Plus profile. And so when your blog that is hosted on a website, hosted on a domain or whatever, is associated with your Google Plus profile as well, those two different entities get linked together, and so Google will see that, okay, this person's video is doing well. Chances are that his or her blog is also something that we should look at and perhaps improve the ranking on in Google.